Hello everyone, welcome to the Trendline Invest channel. So in today's video, we're going to look at two stocks, one from the textile space and one from the banking space or the BFSI space, banking and financial space. Both are small cap stocks and both look really good, both from a long-term perspective plus from a very short-term perspective as well. And in today's video, we're going to look at both the technical plus fundamental analysis, and we're going to look at reasons as to why these two small cap stocks look good really for good long-term investments. But before that, in case you haven't subscribed to my channel, and if you're new, definitely hit that subscribe button, because you're going to learn a lot of different techniques on how to use technical analysis to invest and trade in stocks. And if you have been with me for quite some time, don't forget to share this video with your friends. A lot of us have been struggling in the markets of late, and this video might be the beginning for many of the traders and investors, and they might have some really good profits going forward. So let's share this video with our friends and let's look at today's stock video. But before that, last week I did post one stock video which had two stocks. One was Goodyear and one was Lumex Industries, both from the auto space, and both are looking also good. In case you haven't watched this video, go ahead, the link is at the top and you should be able to find it, and watch this video and let me know your comments. So let's take a look at today's video and let's look at these two stocks. The first stock that we're going to look at today is Monte Carlo from the textile space. So most of you know Monte Carlo, and Monte Carlo is a very famous name in the winter wear space. In fact, even I have purchased some of the my winter wears from Monte Carlo, and it's a really good stock. So as always, we'll take a look at technicals plus fundamentals, but before that, let's take a look at how I found this stock. Right, it's very important to know to find the stocks which are doing well, and for that you have to have some scanners. I did post some scanners on Twitter. In case you're not following me on Twitter, do follow me on Twitter. But let's see the scanner that I use to find these two stocks today. So the scanner that I'm looking at is weekly CCI crossing 100. So there is also a lot of information on my pin tweet on Twitter as to how to use this scanner and how to get results and all that. So do check it out. But let's look at today's first stock, which is Monte Carlo. So a simple scanner here is nothing but I'm just filtering stocks which are crossing 100 on CCI in the weekly time frame. And if you scroll here, you see Monte Carlo pops up in my scanner, and along with it I have a few more scanners here, but you don't have to really worry about it. I will make a separate video on these scanners as well, but today let's focus on Monte Carlo, which came in my weekly CCI 100 scanner. So I'm going to look at first the fundamentals, and let's see what this company does in the textile space, and what is the financials telling us, and also we'll look at technical shortly. So Monte Carlo, as I said, is one of the leaders in the woolen or the cotton wear space, ready-made apparels, and they do have a very strong brand in India, right? And most of us recognize Monte Carlo. So in case you purchase something, then you might definitely know about this brand. So this is a very small company. It has just 1,450 crores market cap. It has a very good ROC and ROE of 17% and 21%. So the stock is trading at just a 12 PE. That's primarily because the stock has not done really well in the last many years, whereas the sales is at an all-time high, and that's why the stock is trading at a very low PE. And if by any chance, if this company is able to maintain this sales growth, maintain this profit growth in the coming years, then this could definitely be a multi-bagger, and I reckon that it can do really well in the coming years. Okay, promoter holds a very good 73% stake, and you look at its sales growth, it has grown at 45% year on year, and you're going to look at some of the numbers below. As usual, I always look at the PE ratio to just see what the company has been doing, what the stock price has been doing, how has the earnings trend been, right? So if you look at this chart over here, the PE has fallen from a high of 28 to almost we are at around 11 now, right now, and the earnings has been stagnant for many years. But since November 2021, or since the last 1 year or so, the earnings have definitely picked up, and we have seen a jump of EPS, from almost, we've gone from, low of around 35. We've been around 35 levels, and we have gone, right now the EPS is trading around levels of 50. Right now, that's a very good increase in the earnings per share, and the trend has been pretty strong in terms of earnings, and that's why it makes it really an interesting bet, even from a long-term investment perspective. Okay, and if you look at the quarterly sales, just look at the last year sales, right? So we've seen September to September, if you compare, you see a 238 crore, that's almost double. Then again in the month of March, we've again seen 60% growth. Even in December, we've seen a very good 15% growth in the overall sales. And the PAT also has increased. The PAT has gone, if you see a December to December, we've not grown that much. And from September to September, we've grown pretty good. and here again in March over March we have again grown very well. So overall for me, the PAT plus the sales both are growing very well, and that makes it a really interesting bet for me from the textile space. So taking a look at the yearly trend, which you always have to do, yearly trend, if you see, we've gone from 300 crores, we've been hovering around the 600 crore mark for the last 4-5 years, but this year definitely something has changed, because the company has posted a 50% increase, or even if you consider this, it is a 200 crore increase. That's a more than 20-25% growth in sales, and we are hitting almost the 1000 crore mark in terms of the sales for financial year 2022. And the margin also has been kind of very stable. So we had a 20% margin, operating margin in 2018, and we are again around those levels, and we did not do well in the last 3 years, but again we are back to the 20% mark, and that's also another reason why for me this makes a very interesting bet from a long-term perspective. And the PAT, that's excellent PAT. We've almost doubled the PAT since last year. We've been having a very constant PAT, and that's why I feel the stock is breaking out of all-time high. It has not done very well for the last many years, and this could be that reason why the stock is really heading higher. And if this company is able to manage this kind of a growth in the coming years, then it's definitely going to be a very good solid stock, and I think that you should be owning the stock in your portfolio. Okay. So the compound growth has been 24% CAGR in the last 3 years, 22% in the last 5 years, and sales has been growing at almost 10% CAGR in the last 3 to 5 years. Okay, balance sheet, they do have very strong reserves. Their borrowings have gone up definitely, but also remember the PAT has also gone up. So for me, that's definitely not a sign to worry, and it has just doubled since 2019. So definitely not something to worry about at this point in time. Promoters have increased the share. They've gone up from 68% to 73%. So in the last 1 year, they've been constantly around 73%. FIIs have increased stake. Now, after many quarters, FIIs have finally started increasing stake from 0%. They literally diluted all the stake during that COVID crash, and now they're back to 3%. So there is some confidence coming back in the FII. That's definitely some good signs. And public has been reducing stake. So people like us have been reducing stake, and they have sold off their stock. So that's the technical perspective, and I'm sure a lot of you have already jumped into the stock, either through breakout or you're doing a swing trade, whatever it is. But if you do have your own opinions, and if you do know why this company has posted such good numbers last 1 year, definitely know in the comments, and I'll be happy to learn as well. So let's take a look at the technicals now, which is what I love discussing. I love looking at it. For me, always first the price should tell me a story, and then I go and look at the fundamentals, and if I see that both are matching, that's when I look at a stock really. Okay, so taking a look at Monte Carlo here, if you look at this line over here, so I'm looking at monthly charts as always. The company was listed back in 2014, and since 2014, the last 8 years we've not seen a breakout, and finally last month we've been able to close above that very critical zone, which is around 630 zone, right? So we closed above 630, and we closed around 700 levels now. Now remember, this resistance here, we had a sell-off in the month of Jan. That resistance needs to be taken out as well, and only then we are going to head higher, probably towards levels of 1400, 1500 levels in the coming months. So overall for me, this is an excellent breakout that we had in June, the month of June, with excellent volumes. Volumes have been very good since the June quarter. So last 2 years has been really excellent for this company. It has gone up from 100 to 700 levels. Now many people might say it's overvalued. No, definitely not. Look at the sales numbers, look at the PE. It is definitely not overvalued at this point. Yes, we have lost some good gains which we could have made, but we are looking at a stock which is breaking out into all-time highs. So looking at the weekly charts, we have clearly formed a very strong base around this level. So if I have an investor, my stop loss should be around those levels of 450. Right now at 700, the stop loss is a little deep, so you might want to wait for a short-term consolidation and then add more. For now, go with probably a 5% allocation and see how the stock does, or go with even a 2.5% allocation if you feel that the stop loss is too low, right? So for me, at this point, what I would be doing is I would probably take a very small position, because I'm more of a momentum trader. I would buy this stock above 720 levels, which is also the previous all-time high here. Around 730 levels I'd buy with a stop around 650, right? So that would be my short-term momentum trading. Buy above 730 with a stop at 650. But if I were a long-term investor, then I would keep my stop at 450, and then whenever the stock does such kind of a consolidation and heads higher, I would add more to that stock. Okay, so from a long-term investor perspective, keep a stop loss at 450 and add more to your positions when you see such consolidations and breakout, right? Now that's a very good point to add at this point here. and also we done retest and we are heading higher. So if you're very aggressive as an investor, you could also keep a stop at 650 and buy how much ever you want. But I would suggest don't keep it too close because it might hit and you might be frustrated. So only for a momentum or swing trader, I'd keep my stop at 650 right now. So overall, the setup is really good. I think we have broken out last week. We did a retest and again we are heading higher. So we should be taking out these levels of 730 probably in the coming week, and we might head higher soon. So that's my take on Monte Carlo, which is the first company. The setup looks excellent. I think we're going to see at least 100% return in the next 2-3 years, which is a very good return compared to, if you compare to 2020, the COVID bull run. It's not as great as what we had then, but definitely for me, this is a stock to keep in your portfolio. Okay, so that's the first stock. Do let me know in the comments whether you're going to invest or not. I'll be happy to know how many people are actually listening to my videos and taking decisions. Okay, the second stock that we're going to look today is Arman Financials from the banking and financial space. So again, it's a very good stock. In terms of fundamentally, it has done really well, and the company has posted all-time high sales in this financial year. And it's a small cap company. It's also breaking into all-time high, and I think this setup also looks really good. And if the banking space does well, this stock definitely might give you decent returns in the coming months and coming years. So as usual, let's take a look at the fundamentals. Arman Financial Services. Okay, so here the stock is trading at 31 P. As I said, market cap is around 1,000 crores. Now directly, let's look at the sales growth, and let's look at the the annual growth as well, profit growth as well. So if you look at the sales growth here, we've gone up from 48 crores. We've been around that 40 to 50 crore mark for many quarters. And this quarter, we've had a very strong increase in that sales numbers, right? We jumped up to 76 crores. Also, if you look at the PAT, we have definitely seen a very stable PAT. In fact, around 1 crore, 2 crore sales PAT in the last many quarters. But this quarter, we have seen a 16 crore PAT, which is almost, one of the all-time high PAT numbers. And that's definitely a very positive sign. Now, looking at the yearly trend, we have gone up from 16 crores, to 140 crores, 240 crores, and now we are 234 crores. And for me, overall, that growth in the sales has been definitely promising. This company has been doing phenomenally well in terms of sales growth. It has been capturing a very good amount of share. And also the profit has gone up from 3 crores to 32 crores. So we had this very strong performance back in 2020, but again, we are almost close to that number in terms of PAT growth as well. So overall, the PAT has grown at 38% CAGR in the last 5 years. Sales has grown at 34% CAGR. For me, those are excellent numbers for a banking company. And I think this small cap company is definitely, probably it's a really good company to keep in your portfolio looking at those sales numbers. Now, small cap companies are the companies which will make you, probably you call wealth. These are companies where if you invest, probably if this company goes from 1,000 crores to 1,000 crores in the next 5-6 years, then that definitely is worth looking at. It increases your, how much your money you invest, it goes up 10 times. So these are the companies that I look at. Investing in large caps is for people who do not want to take risk. So if you're a risk averse investor, then don't invest in these companies because there might be a 30%, 40% drop. Even the stop loss is pretty deep, 20%, 30% stop losses. So some people might say, you have to have stop losses for investing. Some people might say you should not have, but it's finally your money. You have to protect them. So keep your stop loss. It's a must to keep your stop loss because let's say you invest 1 lakh, if it goes in 40%, you lose 40,000. Finally, it's our hard-earned money. We do not want to lose our hard-earned money. And that's the reason why we keep a stop loss. And if it goes back again, we buy it. As simple as that. Okay, so overall for me, it's pretty good sales growth, pretty good profit growth. And here, if you look at the promoters are holding just a very minor share, around 27%, whereas most of the shares are held by public. But the point to note here is FIs have increased stake from literally holding nothing to 5% in the company in the last few quarters. So FIs are showing interest in this company, and that's also one of the reasons why I'm recommending this stock today. So that's a quick fundamental analysis that I did today for Arman Financials. Let's take a look at the technicals, and you might really be interested. If you're a technical guy, you might see this pattern and you might be saying, yes, probably that's company that I want to invest in, right? So let's look at the technicals. So this company was listed back in 2016, and we've gone up from almost 250 rupees to 1,200 rupees. Now that's a very good jump in the overall price, and we have gone up already 5x in the last 4-5 years. So this company has been in a steady uptrend. So during COVID, we kind of retested that major support zone over here, and then we have again gone up, and we did see some selling pressure. So since that COVID top, we did see some selling pressure on those levels. But in the month of April 2022, we did close very well above that level, and we've been hovering around that level. Now in the month of May and June, in spite of the weaker markets, the stock did come down. If you see, we had these wicks, but the stock managed to close above those levels. So for me, in the last 4 months, we've had a very strong close right above that COVID high, which is 1120, right? So we had 1137, 1123, 1114, and again we are closing. This week we are closed around 1180. So for me, overall, this setup looks amazing. So this is 4 months of sideways consolidation, and I think we are set to head higher from here. Okay, now from an investment perspective, you do buy the stock, you can buy the stock at current market price, and I would keep my stop loss, somewhere around levels of 900, right? So here I'm being a little aggressive in keeping my stop losses because there's no actual reason. It's just swing lows here, and also I'm keeping my stop loss around that level. So the weekly swing low is around the levels of 900. Now, as a simple rule, if you're investing in a company, you can keep your stop losses around the weekly low, and that's more than enough if you're investing and you hold the stocks until the stock doesn't break that stop loss, and you ride the complete trend unless the stock is making a lower high and lower low, which in technical terms we call that as a downtrend, right? So for now, you can invest in this current market price with a stop loss around 900 rupees. How much do you invest? As I always say, do not more than 5% if you do not know about markets, or keep it 2.5% investment. So if you invest 5% in a stock, you can invest up to 20 stocks. Arman Financial is a good stock, so probably you want to consider as a portfolio. With a stop loss of 900, I'd probably buy the stock and see where it heads to. So that's from an investor perspective. If you're a momentum trader like me, or if you're a swing trader, then what should you be doing? So what I do is I go to the daily charts, and I will wait for a breakout, above that level over there. So, or probably I'd buy the stock about 1240 with a stop loss around 1090. So 1240, 1090 would be my around 150 point stop. That's around 10 to 12% stop loss, and I look for probably targets of 1400, 500, and ride the trend on the daily charts, right? So that's how I would invest if I was a trader, right? So targets, I'm looking for 1500 targets if you're a short-term trader, but if you're an investor, probably we can look for levels of even 2000. So basically I'm looking for here we have the previous high was 120, and this base here is levels of 280, right? So that's 800 point drop that we had, and this is probably a cup and handle that we're having here. The handle is not that long, but for me that's totally fine. So 800 plus 1200 is around 2000 rupees. That's what I'm looking at from an investment perspective. And if you're investing in a stock, and if you're sitting in really good gains, let's ride the trend as much as possible, right? The stock can keep heading higher, and you should be riding the trend as much as possible, because that's how you make wealth, and that's how you make money. Look for such breakouts, horizontal breakouts. There is also a strategy, a video that I did on horizontal breakout strategy, which give really good returns, and these kind of stocks tend to do well in the long run, especially when you have solid sales plus PAT growth, and the stock is making higher horizontal breakout, and the stock is heading to all-time highs in a weak market, is more than enough for you to buy a stock and invest 5% in that stock and hold it for the next many years. So these are the 2 stocks I want to discuss today. I hope you enjoyed my technical analysis and fundamental analysis view as well. If you do invest in any of these stocks, do let me know. These are really good stocks, so I hope you do invest with a stop loss and ensure don't lose money. So that's all for today. I have a lot of other videos coming. When I get time, I'm going to make videos, on how to buy stocks, what you should be looking at in a stock, and how do you trade patterns, how do you invest in stocks using technical patterns. Okay, so that's it for today. I'll leave you here. Take care, trade safe, and stay safe. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and don't forget to like this video. I'll see you in another video. Until then, bye bye.